Holas, everybody, and welcome back to DianaMoon MediaPunker. We're here today to do another Littlebox RPG unboxing. If you don't know about Littlebox RPG, they are a series of easy RPG games to play, created by Storybrewers. I have, and I'll link below, done the unboxing for their first set of Littlebox RPGs, and today I am doing their second set that has just recently fulfilled across all over the world the last few weeks. Story Brewers, if you don't know them, they're the ones that have created Good Society in the past, Last for the Awful Sea, and many other really interesting narrative storytelling games, including Fight with Spirit, which was also recently. Oh no, they haven't recently fulfilled it. They've recently updated the Quick Start, and that I am very excited for. Um, but in case you're coming into this video not having seen the first one, let me explain to you real quick what the Little Box line is. Little Box RPGs are no prep, one shot storytelling games in neat little boxes, as you can see here. They are made for out of the box play and are perfect to pull out on any occasion. Little box games are easy to learn and quick to play. Each RPG is a heartfelt collaborative experience designed to deliver impactful play in just a few hours. There is no game master, and players tell the story together. It is different every time. And as I said, this is part two. So we are going to be unboxing Saltfish and Almanacs and Decaying Orbit, which was created by Sydney Icarus. Um, I am doing this on the fly as I never, just like these games, I never prep before I start. So I have had the pleasure of play testing both of these games for Storybrewers, and I had the pleasure of running Decaying Orbit or facilitating it for the Reclaimers RPG, which is the RPG tabletop show. Sorry, I had a blank for a second. That I'm on every Sunday night. We're currently on hiatus, but I will link to the video of our play of Decaying Orbit because we love sci-fi. Well, we love every genre on that table, but yes. So I'm going to start with unboxing Decaying Orbit, Sydney Icarus. Yeah, I apologize, Sydney. Sydney Icarus's Decaying Orbit. Piece together the memories of a doomed station. And I'm going to apologize. This camera here is on a very wobbly set, so I'll occasionally, as you can see in the reflection, um, this is very shiny. Um, it might wobble, the camera might shake, and I do apologize for that. I'm going to do my best to not try to accidentally bump it, but I do talk with my hands. So, not sure how much ASMR we're going to get with this as we're just using my headset mic, but I am going to do the responsible thing and actually cut this, then try to pull the plastic away. Now, these are the first time I'm seeing these games physically. Again, I've play tested them. We play tested online digitally, and they were fun and beautiful to look at then, and I'm sure they are beautiful to look at in person. So, 163 light years away, and AI awakens. Unravel the story of a doomed space station as it falls into a faraway star. Explore the station's mysteries, joys, and horrors through the inhuman mind of an AI. In its final moments, decide which secrets to send home to Earth. This is easy to learn. You start playing in minutes. Tell a collaborative story of horror or tragedy, and then find everything you need just in this box. The list can play for 2 to 6 players for 1 to 2 hours, age 14 and up. So, this is number 3 of the Little Box series. Very, I just love the feel of this. Very smooth box, tuck box. I'm always bad at opening these because I'm always damaging the lid bit here. So, there we go. And that's just the difficulty has always just been me opening these kinds of things. So we have obviously the rule books here. There's always usually on the back a very quick start setup so that you just know the steps easily enough and the page numbers if you need more information, especially if you're playing for the first time. And I apologize if this doesn't. There we go. Um, so there's always a video, so you can scan the QR code here to, in case you're a person that needs to be visually shown or a mix of both. I tend to need to read the rules and then watch, especially for board games and tabletop games, watch at least some sort of like actual play of it. So you get the game overview, obviously, what components should be in your box, the story so far. So this is what you would always read at the beginning of the game, and then you get to select. There are four different types of space stations, or not, yeah, space stations, with different abilities. Then instructions on how to assemble the deck depending on how many people are playing. And of course, how to play. And this game is a structured story in 3 acts, so that's why they're pretty confident in saying that you can play this in 1 to 2 hours. Um, if you've ever played I'm the type of person that usually needs to link other similar games to each other. So the closest would be for the Queen, where there's a semi-random endpoint. And this is similarly, we have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and the end of the acts come sort of randomly in the deck. So you have kind of, which makes sense because this is a dying spaceship or space station, not spaceship, and you don't know when the things are going to happen, when things are going to accelerate and such. So again, a very thorough play overview with lots of good visuals. And again, I'm sorry I keep going off camera. I'm also trying to make sure that my arm doesn't bump the stand. What to do during your turn, recall a memory, enhanced memory, corrupted memory, which I'll go into a little bit. Final transformation, transformation, final transmission, and then of course a note about safety. This is always good um, for every game to have a special note about such things. And then of course, like pretty much every Storybrewers game, there's always an example of play. This is a gorgeous illustration. Um, and so it's read off. And they do have, like I said, with the rules explanation, they do have an actual play that you can watch by Storybrewers, of course, so that you get the mix of being able to read it and see it for it. And then they have a recommendation on if you want a shorter or longer play and how to do that. And as I said, the quick rule set in the back. So it's nice and small, fits in the box. And then here we have two special cards, the nice thick cardstock. We have corrupted memory, and it's the same on each side. So this memory is corrupted, and enhanced memory. Again, nice thick cardstock. So enhanced memory is when you get a card. I'm not going to explain the whole entire game because I'm very bad at explaining. But essentially, when you get a card and you explain like what has happened in that room, in that section, and if your fellow players are very interested, it's like, oh, they'll tap this and go enhance memory, meaning they want to ask more details or have more things. And so any player can do that. At the same time, we have corrupted memory. Well, corrupted memory is akin to like the X card, and not just for like safety reasons, but also if you for on top of that, it can also be used for narrative reasons. So any player at any time can tap the corrupted memory card and say whatever's been going on in that scene can say, "Oh, the rest of this memory has been corrupted. We've lost data." So that's a way to end the scene safely for anybody or for any dramatic effect. Like someone asks, "Well, you know, we have this footage of a closet and there's people inside. What are they doing? Ah, corrupted memory. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know that they're planning a birthday party for the ship captain, kind of thing." So, um, and and so I think this is really nice, and these will always be present on the table for both. They're nice and thick, Um, Again, I'm just like, wow, these are really nice cardstock, very smooth, and so yeah, very durable. And then last but not least is, of course, the game itself of the cards. Ooh. Now these are bigger than playing card size. I think in the description for the Kickstarter, most of these are tend to be um, like tarot card size. So look at that. Very nice. I just love the coloring and graphics of this. It like totally represents like what we tend to see in sci-fi genre of like the way the systems look and everything. Um, so I believe these are the acts. So Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Epilogue. We also have, yeah, one, two, three, four. So all the backings are the same. So you just have to sift through them. But here are 4 space stations. We have New Eden, Athena 2, Hephaestus, and Taurus Alpha. Now, if I remember correctly, Taurus Alpha wasn't around when I was looking when we did the play test. Um, so I think this came from a stretch goal, I believe. But yeah, you have, and on the bottom, so you'll know which station to use because as was mentioned in the rules, there's a how to create the deck depending on how many people, also possibly depending on that what cards, because certain cards are here are specific to certain space stations, so that's what these symbols are right here. Um, and then each space station has like 2 words on it to help you kind of get a feel for what kind of place it is. So for Taurus Alpha, it's a dystopian mining station where everything and everyone is owned, oops, sorry, by the company. Stories aboard the Taurus Alpha tend to be hungry and brutal. And it's a very boxy kind of space station. There's the drill. And then, so the 2 words are hungry and brutal. And that could help you kind of get the feel of what kind of station you're making. And then I believe, yes. So the rest of the cards are, of course, the different sections. So base cards have no symbols. Anything that's specific to a particular space station will have the symbols. So this is DNA lab. And they have in the bottom remember sections. These aren't not necessarily necessary, but they're ways to help you if you pull this card, the bridge, let's say, Thrones of Central Command, the station's nerve center, fiber optic cable snake from monitors to switches and back again. And then remember, connections made and lost, a team in crisis. So if you ever are not sure of what type of story to say about the bridge, they do give you some ways to help out with that. And in the same with the acts, like you need to consider, um, you don't need to. It's just like consider to help you if you don't know how to, especially if you're not used to writing in a 3-act structure or any kind of narrative like that. This will help you figure that out. But I'm just, yeah, these cards are definitely gorgeous in person. And like the graphics in the background to just give that hint of what it is. Life support controls. This gives me very Metropolis vibes, obviously. Um, AI cords, sanitation, DNA lab, aircraft hangar, mess hall, memorial walls. Remember, memory flickering, time spent on reflection. This is just a fantastic game. You get to, and what I really like about it, also compared to, sorry if this camera freezes, it's an older camera too, um, but it's about the station. It's about what the memory AI remembers. It's about the people that were there, and normally I'm the type of person, as some of you would know, I don't like tragedy, like sad stories, sad endings. I prefer happy endings. The and this counts. Um, the exception, of course, is horror. I love horror. There are certain types of horror I cannot watch anymore, unfortunately. But it's such a fantastic genre. And what this does is it does the horror and tragedy in a way that's very in in a way that's subtle, um, and it's more intimate. And you're not just telling stories because it's technology. You can tell it in ways that a majority. There are other games, of course, that do it too, but where you can just talk in ephemera stuff. It could be just a chat log. It can be just audio log. Everything that you would play in horror games like Soma or Alien Isolation, where you're picking up logs. That's this game without the someone or something chasing you necessarily, um, but also knowing the ending that the people did not survive, and you're just trying to figure out what will Earth or the home planet find. And I just love it because yeah, just as I said, every time you play, it's always going to be different. And if you play with the same people, you play with different stations, and you'll pull different cards, and it's just so good. And it's just a nice, yeah, out of the box. You can play it, um, yeah, in minutes after doing the instructions. What I like is like even though it is a simple game, it is a pretty for a tiny rule book, pretty thick. Um, because it's to ensure like you can skim it easily and get the and understand the rules, and then to ensure that you're not misunderstanding anything. They have the in-depth descriptions. So yes, we'll put this back, and there's only a little bit of a. Oh, I guess this was to help. Well, now they're all together. But I'll actually put this here, I think. So yeah, minimal packaging, just enough, you know, to hold everything comfortably. I'm just gonna test this. Or is this because it's smaller? Oh, that's probably why. Let me take this out again. So let's do this in separate components. So we'll do the thick cardstock after. And sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now put this in. And just stuff it down. Apparently that's not what I was supposed to do. I didn't pay attention when I pulled these out, so I'm actually not sure. It might have been what I was thinking earlier where you actually stuff it in, but I'm going to take this out for now. Put that there, because everything does fit, obviously, even without the plastic. I'm just always so notoriously bad in putting these away. Oh, there's my first bump. I wonder if I'll put a counter on this. There we go. And how many times I bumped the stand. So that was decaying a little bit. I'm going to put this to the side. And now we got this big boy, Saltfish and Almanacs. I was lucky enough to be able to play test a few times and they kept adding new things. And it's a really fantastic game for you can play solo, which is pretty cool. I'm sorry, I pulled this out so I can get the knife. Not knife, the scissors. For 4 people, I think this works. Even though I've only played it with 4 players, I feel like it works fantastically. Like this is a game you want to play with all 4 players. I'm sure people who love solo game. I'm sure this is going to be a fantastic solo game too. Or with duos. Window I made that cut. It was a little bit difficult, but here we go. So Saltfish and the Almanacs is made by the Storybrewers duo, um, B. Hendro and Haley Gordon. And this is a chunky one. And what's interesting, and I think because I bought a bunch. Like I bought copies of their first ones because I realized I wanted to give some of the first two games. So this was nicely packed. But it does feel like there's something very special inside because it's poking out a little bit. But that's totally fine. Look at that cat. We all those of us who follow the the social media for Storybrewers and who follow the social media for the first story, Little Box Kickstarter should know who this is. This is Vlad. I unfortunately do not remember the kitty's name, but this is our lovely Vlad the vampire. Vampiru. Just gorgeous art. So let me just read this real quick to you. Wagons ready? Let's go. Step into the shoes of merchants on their yearly trade routes in this storytelling game full of new delights and old memories. Buy and sell goods to unlock unique moments in your journey. Watch towns and seasons change and discover how you change with them, then return home for the winter. It's easy to learn. Again, start playing in minutes. Play with friends or enjoy solo mode, and find everything you need in this box. And um, so again, 1 to 4 players, at least 3 hours. So this isn't a quick game. 3 to 6. Probably more hours if you have the full four, and shorter hours if you're playing under four. So yeah. So we got a little bit of cardboard to help keep everything. Let's see if I can figure out how to put this back properly. I know there's a lot of good things in here. I'm like, what do I want to pull out first? I guess I'll pull out the cardstock first. So, I believe our mundane supernatural life was the only other one that had punch cards because I don't think the other one. No, yeah, Village Song didn't have punch cards. So we have punch cards, which means that once you start playing these, you're going to have a little bit more loose stuff in here. Um, these, if I try to remember correctly, these are the roads. Like these are the long roads. So the way you build this game up is if presuming you have 4 people to play, 2 people each are going to be on a wagon and they're going to start. I realize my hands are not in camera. They're going to start on opposite sides of each other, and then there's going to be horizontal long roads and then short vertical row columns, not rows. Roads is that the word I meant to say. Um, and those will be like reflection times. And so, depending on the type of road it is, will let you know what kind of reflection you're having with your partner. So, these are the long roads for that, and you'll punch these out. I'm very tempted to punch these out, but I'm not going to right now. And then you have the wagons. So, you have 2 wagons when you're playing with the full 4 people. And then the short roads, which is, if I remember correctly, these are the roads that are coming in and out of your village. And so there's 2 routes to take. And I don't know, and I'll look it up once I show the rules. I think I remember this. We tended to do one-shot playtests where we didn't technically play the full route um, to the end. So I think these writing tokens are for the epilogue for the end. So I'll put that right there. I will pull out the rule book, Saltfish and Almanacs. I just love this art style. I mean, every game they make, they have wonderful art styles. I think they choose fantastic illustrators and artists for each of their game to really show off the mood and feeling of the game. And so, again, a quick play at the back. So you can just flip it over and be like, oh, that's that. Um, Again, a QR for video, which is always helpful. Um, Life on the road is always changing. So we have, again, the game overview. We have the components. There's 4 companies, 10 towns, 4 reference cards, 6 special items and travelers, 42 goods, 6 long roads, 2 short roads, 2 wagon bases, and yeah, 4 letter tokens, and then 2 wagon meeples. So you get a story about the merchant life to get you into the mood of what this is, and then you get to plan your route. Um, Sorry, Nick. Again, there are 10 merchant companies, 12 hometowns, and 14 ways, I think, to prepare your map. So, again, it's one of those games where you're never playing it the same way twice. You get to choose your different merchant companies. There's the Hearthfire Traders, the Venturas Collective, the Merciatic League, and the Spirit Folk Fellows. So, it was kind of teased with when I showed him that because he's Vlad the Vampire. There's supernatural elements in this game. They're very, you don't necessarily see it besides him, if you know, in the box or in the cover, but you can play this game as historically accurate as you'd like or as fantastical as you like. What's fantastic is there's elements for all of that in here. Um, Unfortunately, when I played the 2 times, it didn't get very magical. There was very vague hints of it, and I see the sun is slowly going down as the light fades over here. Um, so it depends on the goods, of course, to help with that. And it's just like your mindset. If you want to make it more fantastical, you can, even if you don't come up with cards that necessarily show that off. But yeah, so merchant companies, then you get to choose your hometowns. There's Bergna, Rostock, Svilen, Kulsi, Drazag, Vornu, Mursk, Chorzno, Palkis, and Gridzau. Um, So these are short. Sorry, I had to actually read for a second. Short descriptions, but there are full cards of fuller descriptions. So either way, if you want to just like quickly decide a hometown to get a feel for your character, you can do that. And then you get to prepare the map. So here's where I was. Let me see if I can make this focus a bit slightly. So in the middle is going to be the hometown and the merchant company, and then the 4 cities you'll be visiting plus the roads. Um, and again, how many players are playing will tell you how many merchants per wagon, um, and all that. And then this is how your wagon will look. You'll pick 2 items. There'll be, if I remember correctly, a row of goods and kind of like in other merchant board games where you get to choose what goods and those free fill up. So you get to choose um, what goods you start out with, and then you create your merchant. So this one's a little bit uh more involved. I Because we were playing it online, I had a little notepad file to like help me write out like what's my character about, like what's my motivation. Um, and I realize I'm very silly, and I know that everybody's going to laugh at me. These numbers are the page numbers, not the amounts they are. Big goof on my part. I would know better. I knew there wasn't that many 10. I was like thinking that doesn't sound right. But because that would be a very big and ambitious game. Maybe if they ever make a sequel. Um, so yes. So just to reiterate, there are only 4 companies and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 hometowns to start from. So yeah, you get to create your merchant. There's merchant prompts, hometown qualities, merchant details, wagons, and if you're a town specialist, if you're playing in pairs. Um, And so that, you get to build up your character just like a regular RPG, where you have a character sheet. This is essentially your character sheet that you'll come up with. Again, for me, it was helpful to write that all down. even for a one-shot type of game. That way I had an idea of what kind of character I was playing, what kind of merchant I am. Was I an old wizened merchant? Was I a new merchant? Was I just pretending to be a merchant so I can have an excuse to leave the village, you know? So the goods there are, I will pull them out and show them. Side for there's two sides to them. There's the wagon side, so when you're loading them, and then the town side. So if you're picking them up from a town, there's different prompts. So you get to load your wagon, you get to say goodbye, you get to have lots of nice little vignettes and scenes. Very fun time to even before you even start on your journey. And then you finally go on the journey. So again, a nice little journey overview with pictures and symbols, explanations of the short and long roads, what the symbols mean, how to interpret them, and then special items and travelers. Um, I didn't get a chance to play with the special travelers, so that will be very fun when I finally get to play this again. And then, of course, the different towns, what to do when you arrive in town, the types of scenes you can have while you're disembarking. Um, you get to have some leisure time, and then, of course, when you leave. And then halfway through the game, you change seasons. So then you'll flip those road cards. So that's why they have double sides. And that will help not necessarily give more drama or anything, but just to again to emulate that, if you're on a trade route, you're especially pre-technology now, um, it's going to take a long time. These aren't 1 week, 1 month excursions. And then finally, you get to go home, ending home, depending on if you're home for winter or not, hurrying home, and then the epilogue, and then that's the game. And again, like with every Storybrewers game, there's a safety section um, to be mindful of everybody else of what kind of stories you're telling. And there are solo play, letters, and multi-year modes to play, which sounds fun. As anybody who's played Storybrewer games with me, I love doing letters. I love going over the max in Good Society of doing letters because I think they're very fun. Or other ephemera, not necessarily letters to someone. So I'm very excited to play with letter tokens. So solo play with a video example of how to do solo play. There's a multi-year mode, which sounds like fun. Um, and then again, the rules, quick. So I'll put that there. And now to the fun cards. Eh, we're stuck on something. Well, actually, oop, I think that's the third time I've shook it. I apologize. Actually, before I get to the cards, we have meeples. These are our wagons. So, meegons, meeples, wagpoles. So, the way my coloring is on my recording, this is going to probably look more blue and yellow, and I apologize. This is actually, uh, let me see if I can actually adjust this. I didn't realize my color scheme was that off, but this is actually a rich purple. So, I don't think there's any filters causing it now. Let's see if I can actually do this without crashing the video. This will be edited out. Probably. So I think it's because the white was auto white balance. That's interesting. And it could be maybe it's just my monitor causing it to look much more blue than purple, or many other things. Well, I'm extremely rusty when it comes to. So it might look more like a royal blue, but is in actuality a nice, rich royal purple. Again, lighting and everything. And this is a very bright yellow, not as golden here, but they're so cute. I don't even remember us, like, was this a stretch goal? Probably. But yeah, so they'll be on the roads. Yeah, I think with my nails it would be easy, but there we go. Nicely packed. Moving that to the side. Ooh, etiquette manuals. Alrighty. So nice, again, tarot sized card, nice shiny, good little bit of flexibility to them. Let's start with the set. Yes. So we have the Spiritfolk Fellows, Heartfire Traders of Rustok, of Bergna, of Sviland, of Kulsi, of Drazag, of Mursk, of Chorzno, of Gredzau, of Vornu, and of Pelkis. And then on the other side is their actual city information for if we're of Palkis, we're obviously not going to be traveling to Palkis because that's our hometown. So then these are very nice in person. Having only seen them in Roll20, it's nice to see them in your hands. Um, Roll20 was for the play testing. I do not believe it'll ever come out properly in Roll20. Yeah, so you get information, questions that people get to answer, and then special activity that might happen. And so yeah, those are the city cards. And then here's two of the, oh yeah, okay. Two of the merchant ones. I think the other ones, hold on, double check. Yep. With such, these are the special items, which we'll look at in a second. Traveling together. Is it just the full company? I thought they were Merciatically, Hearthfire Traders, Venturas Collective. Just double checking. Always double check. You have all the components. Yeah, 4 companies on 2 double-sided. So that's what happened. 10 towns, 4 references. Yep. Just triple checking. So yeah, you get to form your, depending what it is, branch, collective, fellowship, family. Um, you can choose one or make your own. So everything is like always optional when you're creating a character, which is nice, but they do have things for you in case you're not sure what to play. Decide your name, age, and relationship to the others, and any other details that interest you. And then you divide into 2 wagons if you're playing with enough people to play to do 2 wagons. So those are those. Here are our nice little quick card sheets for traveling together or if you're traveling alone, and which each symbols mean. So we have introspect, interact with each other, arrive in town, disembark, leisure, embark. And then question symbols if you are personally answering the question. Oh, let me see if I get that. Or if another player is answering the question. Apologize. This. There we go. And yeah, so those are those. Let's look at the special ones. So we have Seeker's Glass, heavy, full of visions. Um, Hulk's Image, answers three truths, crotchety. Ooh. We have Diva, so she's a special traveler. Nice, unsettling aura, maiden of the field. We have Levi, or Levy, depending. Pensive, out to see the world. His Highness in disguise. Ooh, very fun. And then we have Vlad. Congenial, inquisitive, very average for a vampire, but very sweet. Um, I was just double checking. Oh, so the cat's name is Morticia. I love the way he looks in this setting. Then Sveta, lively, entirely penniless, never stops singing. Probably my favorite type. And yeah, so those are the special items and the special travelers that you can encounter. And finally, the very fascinating and fun goods. Look at all these goods you can have. I mean, they're all the same in sizes, depends on if they're. We have stain removers, perfumes, forest glass, pet collars, field hall gear, etiquette manuals, sea amber, plum, plum leather gloves, quill pens, floating sweetgrass. So many interesting things. And like you might be like, oh, it's just items. Like what? Why are you so excited about items? I'm gonna go to random one. Pendant watches. So intricately designed. Let's see if I can get this closer for you guys. There we go. Stylish, accurate to the nearest hour. So you can choose when I've already forgotten. Yeah, it was disembark. When you choose to disembark, you can choose and if this is one of the ones that you are planning to unload at a town, you have a scenario, a scene, a vignette, depending on which one. A private shopping appointment. You're led into a curious, twisting manner. Each hallway is lined with clocks, ticking relentlessly. There we go. Another person will ask, what prize timepiece does the clockwork collector promptly display? And then you can ask yourself and answer, what do you wish you had more time for? Now, it's not just answering questions. You can do a little scene between you and the merchant, you and somebody else, or a vignette of what's going on. And then there's always like little prompts counting down minute by minute just to help you get into the feel of things. So that was for disembarking. If you're pulling these, that's with that symbol, then you get a different prompt here. So town time capsule. A festive air surrounds the village square, where a large commemorative chest will be buried for future generations. Many line up to add an item to the cache. You join the queue. What did you bring for the time capsule, and who's in front of you in the line? Play out this moment as a scene. Ask someone to play any other characters. So this one is a scene one, so you can choose this. And yeah, it's just really fun to do some of these. And um, I believe this hasn't changed, and I apologize if it is from the rules. Is two people can choose the same good as a scene because it's not going to be the same either way. Which I think is nice. So then you're not limited to like, oh, that person chose the good I wanted to do, kind of thing. Um, But yeah, this is Saltfish and Almanacs. It is a very lovely, fun storytelling game um, where you can just create memorable towns, memorable scenes and characters. And um, what I like about a lot of Storybrooker games is that the conflict doesn't have to be like, monsters attacking or politics or anything like that. It could just be little minor small things. Like these are little boxes, so little details, little issues that are still important. They're not frivolous. Um, but they don't have to be major in the grand scheme of things. And I think that's the fourth or fifth time. I apologize. Um, Let me close that. Um, and Yeah. And so this one's a very fun one. This one I think is one of their longer ones of the little box, like I said, 3 to 6 hours. But it's a great game that you can just put in your purse. You have to have a little bit of a table space for this particular one, and I would recommend having something, and it could just be on your phone notepad to write a little note to yourself about your character. And if you're creating relationships with other people, like one or two lines, nothing completely extensive and detailed, just enough to get you in the proper merchant mindset. And these look like these will punch out really easily. I just don't want to do it right now. Um, and I wonder if I could utilize this when I do possibly um, to hold it, or I'll just get a little baggie to add. So this is, and I believe this is also one of their bigger boxes. Maybe, let me see actually, because I have it right here. Yeah, I think it's bigger than, so this is, yep. And this holds a lot. Geez. This game holds like, markers and dice and everything. So yeah, it's not that much bigger, but still. But it makes sense because we have lots of lovely goods. We have the um oop, my mat almost fell away. And we have these lovely little meeples, wagon meeples, tucks right there easily. It does bulk out just a touch bit, but I mean, I'm not bothered by that at all. So, yes, Saltfish and Almanacs and Decaying Orbit, the two latest games from the Little Box series by Storybrewers. Um, um, I feel like I need to say this every time because Sydney Icterus is the Decaying Orbit. Sydney, I have had the pleasure to meet at previous Big Bad Cons. Is a wonderful person, and so I'm very happy that I get to have a game of theirs. One and got to talk with them a little bit when we did the prep for the video we did on the Reclaimers and everything. And these are just fantastic games. I hope you all check it out. I'll have all the relevant links below to so that you can buy them yourselves or check out the first two of these series. And I'm looking forward to what else comes out by Storybrewers. And not just the little box series, but all the other games like that. Oh my gosh. I will, if I have time, I will put a counter up right there. Again, I apologize for that. Um, but yeah, so thank you for coming and watching. I hope you like this video. Leave a comment below if you had a chance to play any of these or what kind of characters you have created or what kind of story you did for Decaying Orbit. And until next time, DianaMoon says.